Business meetings, making the most of your time. About 20 years ago, I met a woman at a conference for people in marketing communication in the insurance business. We met at a conference that was held in Monterey, California. It was beautiful. And she was helping out with organizing the meeting itself. I met her and people from her insurance company because I had nothing to do and I thought I could be useful. And I made friends that will last the rest of my life. But the thing that was most interesting about Karen is that at the time I met her, she was a consultant, a freelancer working for that international insurance company out of Atlanta, Georgia. So we stayed in touch over the next year, and when we got back together at a conference at another location, she was no longer a consultant or a freelancer. She was a manager of marketing communication for that same insurance company. The following year, when we both joined the board of that association, she was no longer a manager for that insurance company. She was a director. And the following year, she became a vice president of marketing communications. And this was remarkable because it was at a time when most women didn't make it to top management, and certainly not that quickly. But she made it to the big boy table because she told me she really loved being involved. She liked being invited to business meetings because she found out what was happening within the organization. She could do what she could to help the organization. And she was part of the strategy for the success of the organization. She always offered her opinions. She always did it in a respectful and intelligent way. And she got invited to more and more important meetings. She liked being part of the big boy table. Take a look at the picture to the upper left. This is a stock photograph, so there's nothing real life about it, except for I want you to pay attention to the body language that you see. Each of the people is leaning in, looking directly at each other, and they seem to all be involved. No one is looking at their phone. No one's sending emails. No one's on Facebook. No one's taking notes. They're all involved. I think this is what makes a business meeting really successful. A couple of years ago, I watched a video by Sheryl Sandberg, and it was on TED.com, and it was a presentation. She is the Chief Operating Officer for Facebook. She just made the transition to that role in her career, and she was talking about the role of women in business. And I think that it is true that it applies to men as well as women. So if you're a man, don't ignore me now, just keep listening. She said that one of the things that kept women from progressing as quickly as they could in business is that they were unwilling to lean in, to demonstrate their interest and their capability and their insights. They sat on the periphery in meetings. They pushed their chairs back. Or she talked about how she went to board meetings and some of the women, instead of sitting at the board table, even if there was room, chose to sit on the chairs that were ringing the room, the ones on the periphery. And when the leader of the meeting asked for ideas, those women chose not to interject their ideas. They stayed quiet. And she said that what was the difference between people who were successful in business and those who weren't was that people who were successful were willing to lean in. Sometimes we think of business meetings as an hour we'll never get back in our life. I don't want you to ever think of it that way again. I want you to think of it as an opportunity to lean in. First, we're going to talk about your leaning in when you've been asked to run a meeting. Sometimes you're manager or supervisor or vice president will ask you to run a meeting or a series of meetings on a project. You become the project leader. And the first thing you need to know is the purpose of the meetings, whether it's one or a series. What is the purpose of the meeting? What is it you're hoping to achieve? If you've been assigned this role, maybe the first place to start is with the person who assigned you the role itself. What do they think the purpose of the meeting is? But that's not the end. You can make that purpose clear in the invitation you send to all of the people you've chosen to invite to the meeting, people who can make the situation better in that project. And you can invite agenda items. And when people send you agenda items, that will help you to clarify the purpose. And it'll help you to organize future meetings so that you handle specific things at specific times, perhaps in a chronological manner. So with the help of the agenda items and the purpose, you create an agenda for that meeting. And you set the tone in the invitation as one of appreciation. You appreciate that they're taking valuable time, and in many cases, expensive time, away from their other responsibilities so that they can be at your meeting and participate. Thank them for that. At the meeting, take your own minutes and make sure that you write down the people who have been invited to be responsible for actions, as well as the ones who you will have to seek out to see if they will help with actions. Take also care to include the dates when you need those actions to be completed by. And if by any chance the meeting gets off purpose, if it goes down a side road, if it takes a divergent approach, redirect it to the purpose of the meeting and suggest that divergent idea either be tabled for the next meeting or handled at a separate meeting or maybe talked about offline. But keep to the purpose. Start the meeting on time, stay on purpose, end on time. Be respectful of the time of the people you've invited to your meeting. So, what makes for an effective meeting? One of the things that helps a meeting be effective is if everybody has a record of what happened at the previous meeting. And one of your jobs as the leader of the meeting is to type your minutes. If you look at page 92 of your textbook, Newman shows how to take notes that can be used as minutes, starting with the agenda that you used for the meeting itself. Minutes are the official record of a meeting. They summarize what was discussed, what decisions were made, and what actions participants will take. Generally, they emphasize what was decided at the meeting, not what was said by the members. First, share those minutes with the people who have agreed to be in charge of an action or those people you have to invite to be in charge of an action. Send them your minutes within 24 hours. At least that's what Newman suggests in your textbook. The sooner you get them to them, the sooner they can check their schedules and see if they can comply. And if they can't comply, make sure you ask them for changes. When can you get the job done? After you get their changes, share your minutes with all the members of the committee well in advance of the next meeting so that they can read them and think about other agenda items or ideas that they might want to include, either for the next meeting or for subsequent meetings. But give them the opportunity to read the minutes before they get to the meeting. And that'll make the meeting itself move more quickly if you don't have to devote 10 or 15 minutes to allowing people to read the minutes from the last meeting. So you can help make a meeting effective when you're the leader and also when you're a participant. You can listen to the discussion, and when the, the conversation gets off topic, you can redirect it to the agenda. You can ask questions, Covey style, to make sure that everything is moving in a way that enhances the effectiveness of the meeting. You can still affect the tone by your tone, like Karen did, by being respectful and intelligent and kind and not antagonistic. If you've been selected to be in charge of an action, write it down. Don't wait for the minutes to come. And then go back to your desk and make sure that you can meet the deadlines and let the leader know what your concerns are. And use the minutes to generate new ideas. Great meetings create great teams. They do that through the clarity of purpose, use of the agenda and the minutes, listening and appreciating respectfully, using a win-win approach to resolve conflicts, and being the one good apple that changes the whole bunch for the better. Stephen Covey says that leadership is getting results in a way that inspires trust. Inspire trust. Thank you.